Hello, everyone. A friend of mine recently invested in the General Dame 2 set of Wargames rules, and one of his first observations on the rules was that it required a lot of tokens and markers and so on. And he mentioned that he didn't have any caisson, and he was looking to acquire some models of caissons to represent the caisson marker. And I suggested that I had a file, some STL files of Napoleonic wagons and limbers and so on, and I could print him out a caisson quite easily. So I set about doing that and rapidly realised that it was only going to solve one problem, which was to get a marker for the caissons, whereas the rules require a lot of other markers to denote the status of units and so on. And because I was in sort of 3D printing mindset, I realised that it's really simple matter to print out lettered markers and tokens on your 3D printer without any real problems at all. Very simple thing to do. So this is what I came up with for the game of General Dame 2. It's 40 markers. I mean, it really peculiarly, if you go to the Too Fat Lardy's website, it describes the token set that they sell as stunningly carved from beautiful MDF. One set of 38 tokens provides sufficient for one player playing General Dame. Right, well, if just look at their image, there's actually 40 tokens. So either that there are 38 individual labels that some have got five, of the same variant. Some have only got one. So whether there are 40 variants, I don't know, and there are a lot more than actually 40 tokens in general there or not. I don't know, or whether they just can't count. That I have printed up basically what is on the image on their page. So as you can see, I think they've come out quite well, and the beauty of doing it this way, using a 3D printer to print this sort of lettering, is that you can customize it. I put flock down on this, so it doesn't look quite so intrusive on a wargaming table. You could even, almost base the lettering in the way you base your wargames figures. You can paint it any particular colours you like. So I printed out two sets. This is in a kind of I spray painted them oak brown, and then painted the lettering in a metallic blue colour. But I've also painted out another set for the second player, which I've painted in a metallic red colour. So there you can see the difference in colouring. So simply put, it just occurred to me that so many Wargames rules do require tokens nowadays, and a lot of them are very stylized. Their images and so on, I don't know, of spent bullet casings, I'm thinking, or footprints. I'm thinking of games like Dead Man's Hand or Congo. But a lot of rules are very, they're just labels, they're just letters. As I say, really easy to do that kind of thing on a 3D printer without any skill in designing files or anything like that. You can simply use files that you download from Thingiverse or something like that. So I wanted to just take you to my laptop and show you how to go about producing labels of this nature. Okay, so I'm using here the Anycubic Photon Workshop slicing software. Usually this kind of software will come with any 3D printer you purchase, so I've got an Anycubic 3D printer, so this is what I use. So just to reiterate, no skill needed in designing STL files or anything like that. I'm simply borrowing things that I have downloaded from the internet. You might have to purchase things. A lot of things are free. These are free downloads from Thingiverse that you're seeing here, and I'm simply going to manipulate them and alter them. So as you can see, there's a wide variety of shapes and designs available. You've got hexagons, circles, some have boundaries and ridges, some don't, squares. I'm going to use this one that I used for the General Dame tokens that I created, which is a bordered square to begin with. So let's get rid of all these other distractions here. Okay, so first thing we want to do is alter the size to make it something closer to the labels that I just showed you. So you do that in here. You have to unlock the ratio, otherwise as you change one dimension all the other dimensions will change in order to keep it a square shape. And I made 50 by 20 rectangles. So there we go, that's the basic shape of the tokens that I was just showing you, and you'll notice that as it stretches one dimension and squashes another, that the ridges themselves out around the outside are going to change as well. It doesn't worry me. In fact, it looks appropriate in a way, but just be aware of that. If that's something that you don't like the look of, then don't use the ridged token, use the plain one, and then you won't get that effect. Okay, so we got our size. Next thing we want to do is to write on it, and you can do that using this text paste option up here. Now the font was actually raised, if you remember, above the level of the token. So at the moment it's got a font height here of 2, which is quite 2mm, which is quite flat. The ones that I just showed you had a font height of 6mm. The next thing is that you can choose a font like you can do with any word sort of processing type of software. Don't be too lured by all these really elaborate stylized fonts. I mean, it's lovely to be able to play with them. Just noticed an Algerian one there that seems to have Algerian. Where's it gone? See, I'm saying don't get distracted, and I'm immediately distracted. But there it is. There are some quite nice fonts that you could choose. The one I used and I would recommend, you want something that's sort of blocky. So I used Arial Black. Now, the reasons for that are that, as I say, it's a nice, stubby, kind of blocky looking font. You're not going to have any thin um, surfaces that might print less successfully and also are going to be a little bit more fragile. You want something that's sturdy. And Arial Black I found was, easily read from a distance, nice and solid, prints easily. So that's the one I chose. But as I say, you can do your own thing. If you're doing something that's set, a war game that's set in a particular period, I don't know, pirates or something like that, you might want some nice cursive kind of stylized 17th, 18th century looking font to play with. And then the font size, obviously you have to adjust this because a large font might not fit on the area that you've chosen. So we're going to try a font size of 6 to begin with, see how that goes, and then you have to print in your text. Okay, so let's start with a nice simple one like Brigade was one of the tokens that I needed for General d'Armée too. Again, you can choose whether to have it all capitals, customize it in any way you want. So once you're happy with the label, you've got the spelling right and everything, you generate, and then as you can see, and a font size of 6 is just right for that size of disc that I've got there. So I click down where I want it and then apply it, and lo and behold, we have our first token. It's as easy as that. So I can move that to one side. If I need multiples of the same one, I'd simply duplicate it. So duplicate selected, so I now should have 2 duplicates there. Where are the others? They're down here off the print plate. So it's as easy as that. So just to repeat that process to show you how to go about doing the same thing. So we're back to our same original square shape. Change it to the size we want. Go back up into the text up here. You'll notice that you have to reselect the font size that you want every time you leave that module. So we had Arial Black, and we'll print another one up. Let's do one that's a larger, takes up more space, so skirmishers there. So if we use the font size of 6 there, you can see that it overlaps the edges, so just come down in size, maybe a 4. And also don't forget, if you have come out of this module, that you have to repeat the font height as well. So I misspelt that, so it just says skirmisher rather than skirmishers. And there we go. And it's going to overlap those edges, boundaries a little bit, but not by a lot. So I would be quite happy with that. Now, some of the downsides with this technique. If I wanted to do a really long, a longer kind of sentence, such as artillery assault was one of them, took up quite a lot of space. I can't have that in two separate lines. So for instance, I'm returning here, but you can see nothing is happening. I can't get it onto a line below. So my only option, if I want it all as one word, is to have it as artillery assault. And you can see then you're beginning to get down to quite a small font size before it will fit. There, font size of 3, just about fits. It's going to be quite small lettering. So because I can't have it with the artillery above the assault, you know, filling up more space, my only alternative is to print artillery first of all. What's going on here? There, and put it there, and then to type, and then to type assault, and put it underneath like that. So I am now having to eye up whether I think that is aligned properly with the word artillery above. So it's not as neat and tidy as if you had a, you know, sort of word type input where you could return and have, you know, separate paragraphs and get the whole thing spaced, underlined neatly. It's a lot more rough and ready than that. But with a little bit of care, it doesn't matter. So you probably would end up with a better, more readable token if you put the two words one above the other rather than had artillery assault all as one long phrase or sentence. The other slight disadvantage here is it would be very nice to have the lettering punched into the token, but you can't go to a font height of minus. So whatever you do, you are always going to have, let's delete this. You're always going to have some kind of raised or printed onto the token type of font. You're never going to have it punched in, and that's kind of makes it difficult to produce any kind of token where you're going to need to play the tokens so that they're hidden, so that the written side is face down on the table. Something like that, Brigade, is going to be very unstable if you have to stack the tokens or, you know, sort of turn them face down and muddle them up. So I'm thinking of, for instance, markers like with strength and honor, where you have to keep them concealed. So I can show you that. Let's come out here for a moment. Get rid of that one. So we'll use a disk. So in strength and honor, you have disasters and setbacks, and they all have values. So let's print a value of, say, 3 on here. We'll keep the font height quite low in this case because we're going to have it face down. Let's try a different font size, font style. Find one that's suitable for the Ancients period now. I'm not going to find one in a hurry, so let's go with oh, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. What's that? I can't even read it. Parchment. There we go. Generate. Way too small. Still quite small. There, that's a nice looking 3. So apply that. Okay, so that's just to give you an example. So you can see it's still raised above the level of the token. If you're playing that face down, you're not going to be able to stack them up very easily. That 3 is going to be a little bit fragile, particularly as it's got these very thin areas here that are going to maybe not even print easily to begin with, but they're certainly going to be a little bit more vulnerable. So that's just one of the downsides. But anyway, with a lot of sort of care and a little bit of manipulation, you can produce, I think, some really nice looking tokens for any of your game. I mean, for instance, let's clear all this. Right. What am I doing? Edit, delete all models. Yeah, what I did earlier was produce some tokens for the game of AK-47, which is a very old game now, but basically you have to use tokens in that, but they are all cut out from the book. So I've just basically messed around with printing the tokens that you need onto some sort of more sturdy and durable markers here. I actually haven't got around to printing them, just designed them, but you can see you could easily print these out, paint them up so that you can read the wording more easily, and then lay those down next to your figures when the appropriate dice rolls and things are made. So any game you like, you can be a little bit more imaginative and get something that I think is a little bit nicer and less intrusive on the table than some of those MDF tokens. Fair enough if they're, as I said earlier, if they're nice sort of decorative tokens like you get with a lot of games like Congo and Dead Man's Hand or something like that. But when they're just words, you can do it yourself and do something that's a lot more to your satisfaction, I think, than sticking with the fonts and styles that have been determined for you by the MDF firm that produced the tokens. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I hope you got something out of that, and good luck with making up your own tokens and devices, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.